Well, hi folks, welcome back again. We're going to do an update on our buddy build with Mr. Dan, or Papa Dan, or Papa Dan 2, or Hobby Time with Papa Dan. I just know him as Dan, but or Mr. Koozie. He's Mr. Koozie around here sometimes. We're working on Monogram's 11257 Chevy, and we have a progress report for you because we have done something that we're very, very proud of, and that is we put color on the body. Look at that. We're using Tamiya X34. That's actually a jar paint. That's not a rattle can. We did do rattle can on the roof. We did the racing white. I think that's called X7. Oh, excuse me, TS7. I'm getting my T's and my X's all mixed up. As long as I dot my I's, I should be okay. So yeah, we did the TS7 on the roof here, which is nice and glossy. So much so that it's blowing out my camera. It looks like with the glossy lightness. But yeah, the body, we decided we really wanted to use this color because this is just a beautiful, beautiful color. There is X34. Metallic brown. Really like this color. And I thought, man, I can't walk away from that. It's just too nice. But airbrushing it was just going to be a real nail biter of a situation for us because we're not the best airbrushers in the world, and there is a lot of surface area here. We're looking at this sitting on top of my laptop computer, and that's not a small thing either. So this is a big boy. It's like me when it comes to people and scale sizes. So I thought, if we just take our time and we thin the paint down and we just, do a real methodical job, we'll do okay. So I did. I mixed up the paint and then I started spraying and we started having problems. And I went to clean out the airbrush and I had rocks in the bottom of the paint. I couldn't figure out why I had paint rocks in the bottom of the airbrush. So then I drained out the jar and noticed I had this. Yeah, how about that, huh? That kind of sucks. So yeah, that we had bought this large jar here to go, to just use up all of our paint. And I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I'd just stuck with this guy. The painting process was actually very, very simple. The hard part was just getting paint to go through the gun. So I I I strained the paint out and everything, and then I went back and then repainted the car again. So I've got 3 passes of color on here, and we still haven't used up all the paint that was in this jar. I probably would have been okay with this little guy here because of how much I thinned it down. But what saved us was I happened to be watching a video posted by Trekworks. If you're not familiar with him, his name is Boyd. You'd have to be familiar with him. He's been around for forever, and he builds everything, and he does a beautiful, beautiful job. But he talked about how whenever he's painting with acrylics and stuff like that, he always uses a strainer, a filter of some sort. And I had posted some pictures of what had happened on Facebook about the car, and several guys were like, "Oh, just use your wife's stockings." I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." No, we're not going to do that. I talked to Mrs. BG about that, and she goes, "Oh, hell, I got tons of stockings you can use." I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that. For some reason, it just doesn't seem hygienic. I don't know why. But I'm not a germaphobe, but that, it's a whole other story. So what we did was went to the Home Depot and we found a pack of 4 filters here. These are 99 cents, okay? And this is what you get in this pack. I pre-sliced mine off camera, but it's basically like a glorified coffee filter, right? And what I like to do is I'll cut about here, about half an inch or so up, and then just follow the arc of the mesh. And then that makes it easier to hold while you're trying to put stuff into the color cup for your airbrush because we all know how small those can be. But let's take off just one. Can we do just one? Oh, we can do just one. Okay, cool. So they got this weird looking skull shaped thing here going on, right? So on the back side, we'll see that there's an overlap. That's where everything's glued together, right? I discovered that when you look down inside there's this nice little area here to actually just pour the paint on and let it dribble down into the lower mesh screen down there. That's about the size of the color cup. So I was like, okay, cool. So what we do is we use the pipette system, one of these little guys here. suck up some paint out of the jar, and then when we squirt it into this, we squirt it onto the back side down in, oh, this is awesome, clear against white. That's going to show up awesome. So we use the pipette and squirt it down onto the back panel here and let that dribble down right in there, and that's perfect. We don't end up overflowing the cup too soon or anything like that. What's funny is that while you have the mesh in the color cup for the airbrush, it's hard to judge how much paint's actually going in there. So you're like, oh, I can just do 3 more ladlefuls in there type of thing, right? And that doesn't go well, because it's like, no, because usually you only do like 1 pipette squirt worth of paint in there, which will come up to about, like, I don't know, 1.5 milliliters or something like that. And here I am doing like 3 of those. It's like I overflowed my color cup. But after I cleaned all that, that's basically where all this mess came from. But after we got all that taken care of and got the paint strained and thinned properly and everything, then we went back and shot 2 more coats on this guy. And I apologize for the shaggy dog story to get to this point, but it was a process, and I wanted to share that. But I really like the results that we have here. Let's take a look at the front. Yeah, that's looking really, really good. And there are some thin spots here and there that camera's not really picking up very well. Like, there's a little bit of a thin spot right there. Just because it looks like, I think I might have a heavy spot near it, so that it makes it look a little thin. But for having to airbrush something this size, I want to call it a win. I'm going to call it a win. We're going to wet sand it to knock down the roughness of the paint, because it is a little bit on the dry side when we sprayed it. So the plan is to wet sand it, and then we'll hit it with some TS13 Tamiya clear, so we can get the gloss like that we have on the top here, and mimic that down below. And then we can go on with doing the detail work, like on the little vents and the script and everything like that. So that's our plan. That's where we're going with this for right now. We haven't had any progress on the interior. I do have my little carpet kit waiting to go. I had just enough guts to intestinal fortitude to paint the guy, but not actually glue in the carpet kit. I don't know why I had to do it that way, but that's the way we did it. And as far as the engine's concerned, it's still looking real nice with the plumbing that we had installed on there for the fuel lines. We are fixing to get ready to start wiring it up. The issue is that PapaDan had let us know that the wires are a little too short. If you follow the wire cutting diagram in the instructions, they come up a little bit too short. So there's a couple of things we could do to cheat the system. One is to trace the lines up between the manifold and the engine block. That's one way of doing it. It's probably not a preferred way of doing it, but that is one way. Another way would be to take off the distributor and modify it and shorten the top of the distributor a little bit there. That does look like it's a little on the tall side. 1957, maybe they had distributors that tall, but we could probably shorten the height of that distributor a little bit, give ourselves back a few millimeters that way. So there's a couple ways we can cheat the system. We just haven't decided how we want to do that yet. So there we go. That's the progress on the big 57 buddy build that we're doing with our pal PapaDan. There's a lot of P's in there. But yeah, we're really wanting to get this done and get it on the display shelf, because it's really come along now. We're super excited now that we have color on the body, and that was a big hurdle for us to cross. And I'm very proud of myself for stepping way outside of my comfort zone and doing this. Did I do a great job? Not really, but I did far better than I was feared I would do. So I think that this turned out very, very well. And will I do another one of these? I would build another one of these 57 kits, but I don't think I'd airbrush it. I would definitely rattle can it, or just pour a bucket of paint and dip it in that. So I did want to do a black one, because I've always liked black 57s with red interiors like the box art has. But this was also a car that my dad and I had seen when I was a kid, and we had talked about having a 57 in the root beer float colors, so we're trying to mimic that as much as we can. All right, guys, I've wasted enough of your time as it is. I should let you go, get back to your Fridays. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on. Bye now.